The religion of the meat does not affect its taste. Godly bacon and ungodly bacon are equally delicious.
If you like to read, if you like to think, if you like to see the world differently, grab yourself a book, give the show a listen. Purple LitNerd gonna show you what you're missing.
Welcome to the Purple LitNerd podcast for July the 1st. Hooray! If you're from Canada, happy Canada Day. I am your host, the amazingly adorable and not Canadian Rebecca Thistle, podcasting to you live-ish from my new used desk in my apartment, which I call Jeffrey Thistlework. Yes! So, real quick, I have decided that I'm going to start recording this show on Sundays because I have nothing better to do on Sundays, and I think that would probably be better for my mental health to do this on Sundays instead of Saturdays. Just a heads up. Before I get into it, going back to the Iron Druid Chronicles, real quick, spoiler alert. As always, spoiler alert. I'm talking about the 8th book in the Iron Druid Chronicles. If you have not read these books and you care about spoilers, if you have not read, at least if you have not read Staked, and you care about spoilers, you might want to stop listening because I'm going to get into a lot of things. Okay, so, first off, I realized I forgot a couple of small but pretty key details. Not majorly key, but, key enough. Details from Shattered, so I'll probably cover my tracks there. And then there's also a novella between Shattered and Staked that I could not track down on audio. Maybe I didn't try hard enough, but I couldn't track it down. So, thankfully, using context clues from Staked, I can fill in the blanks. Okay? Okay. So, just like with Shattered, there's 3 different points of view, so kind of 3 different storylines going on, and so I'll just go one by one on these storylines, and then they will all come together in the end for the big epic battle. Alright? Okay, so let's start with Granuel. If you remember from the end of Shattered, Granuel got attacked by this earth monster that tried to suffocate her and shattered every bone in her body, and while she laid helpless in this underground cave trying to heal her bones, Loki came in, fucked around with her, not sexually of course, but kind of went on a power trip, douchebag, and marked her with his runes or whatever, so that now nobody in the world except for him can track her down, which by default means that he can track down Atticus. So, best I can tell from A Prelude to War, Granuel's big part in that is that she gets tracked down by Loki and has it out with him, and he walks away with a tomahawk in his back, and she walks away with some of his teeth and hair, which she then takes to Asgard. So Staked, here we go, gotta love these alliterative titles. Staked begins with Granuel in Asgard, where Odin has commissioned his favorite runaskald, Fjalar, to construct a sort of anti-rune brand thing, kind of like what Loki did to Granuel, but it's gonna essentially burn away the mark. So using Loki's divine DNA, I don't know if you can call that DNA, but sure, let's give it a human understanding of genetics. So taking Loki's DNA from his teeth and his hair, Fjalar constructs this rune, which he then uses to burn off Loki's mark from Granuel's arm. So she's essentially been branded twice in about a month. Poor girl. But upon being liberated from Loki's mark, she realizes that this shit is going to keep happening over and over and over again. And she's tired of being the means that people use to get to Atticus. She's tired of it. She's her own person. She's her own force to be reckoned with. She's sick of it. So she's trying to figure out how she can cloak herself from outside divination. So she goes to India to talk to Laksha, because that's her go-to magic user that she understands. You know, they shared a head for a while. Or they shared a body/brain for a while. So the small detail that I left out from my summary of Shattered was after the big battle with the Raksoyus and the Rakshasas, Durga banished Laksha to her ruby necklace. After the battle was done, Granuel took aforementioned necklace to a hospital where she found a relatively young woman in a coma, put the necklace on this woman, and said, Laksha, take over this body. Because, you know, I'm being cool, I guess. So Laksha is now living in a young woman named Matini, something or another, I can't remember. So Granuel goes to India, tracks down the person that everyone else knows as Matini, but it's really Laksha, has tea with her, and they sit and they talk for a while. It was a very interesting conversation, which if you haven't read it, hopefully you have if you're listening to this, it really gets you thinking. Anyways, but Granuel says, hey, do you know how to do a divination cloak? And Laksha says, dude, really? I mean, not quite like that, but she goes, my magic is destructive magic. I can destroy divination cloaks, but I cannot create them. So why are you asking me? Granuel's like, because I know you, and you're the first person I think of when I think of witchy magic type stuff. And Laksha goes, well, what about those Polish witches from Tempe? And Granuel goes, duh, of course. So she shifts over to Poland, where the Sisters of the Three Auroras are waiting for her because they have divined that she's going to be there. Good job, sisters. So Granuel presents her conundrum to them, and they say, yeah, we can do that. No big deal. But you have to do something for us, because that's how it works, right? I say, look, there's this Slavic god, his name is Svendelvit. We don't know where he is, but he used to have this horse who was accurate in predicting the outcome of battles during war. That horse is also missing, and we think that he has been kidnapped by somebody who is now lending him to Loki for use in the upcoming decision of when to start Ragnarok. So we want you to track down this horse and bring him to us. And if you can track down Svendelvit as well, we'd really appreciate it. So Granuel says, okay, where was he last seen, basically? I was like, oh, this island in Germany, or off the coast of Germany. And she goes, okay. So she goes to this island, communes with the elemental, and the elemental says, yes, there's this underground chamber, there's a horse in there, and there's this god named Velis who goes and visits him on a regular basis. Granuel says, okay, show me where it is. So she finds it, looks down the stairs into said chamber, and goes, nope, this is way too familiar. It just had some shit go down like this before, and it did not end well. So she goes back to the mainland, shifts back to Tir na Nog, and tracks down our favorite thunder god, Perun! Yes, I love Perun. And tells him the situation, tells him that Velis is the one keeping this horse hostage, And Perun goes, oh, fuck no. Because in Slavic theology, Perun and Velis are arch nemeses. So, Perun agrees to accompany Granuaile to this chamber to rescue the horse. Long story short, not only do they rescue the horse, which, by the way, has also been marked by Loki. So I don't know. Anyways, I just thought I'd mention that. Not only do they save the horse, but Perun kills Velis. It is an epic adventure. It's so cool. Granuaile gets pretty badly injured, as does Perun, but of course they're both capable of healing pretty effectively. They go back to the mainland of Germany with the horse, where they are met with the thunder god of an African tribe whose name I cannot remember right now. Shango! Yes! Shango! Who's Shango? Why should you recognize that name? He was on that list of 9 deities that Rebecca Dane prayed to on behalf of Atticus O'Sullivan. So he's one of the good guys, if that's what you want to call them. So, with the help of Perun and Shango, Granuaile gets back to Warsaw, I think is technically where the sisters live, with the horse intact. By the way, the horse's name is Miłosz, in case anybody was wondering. They have only one minor encounter with supernatural beings. They see Loki one time going, oh shit. But other than that, they get the horse to the Sisters of the Three Auroras safely and in good spirits. At which point, the sisters make good on their promise and do their little witchy magic to cloak Granuaile from all divination. Yay! So, now cloaked from divination, Granuaile decides that she is going to fulfill her mission in life, which is to fuck over her stepfather, who is a heartless oil executive in Kansas. So she goes to Kansas, using her druidic juju, messes up his equipment so he can't drill for oil, and then confronts him and says, stop hurting the earth, or I will continue to come back and make sure you can't. Invest in renewable energy and change your ways. And he basically says, fuck you. And they have it out. And there's a big sort of philosophical debate about violence and problem solving that comes about. But after doing this, she feels a certain amount of catharsis and a certain amount of guilt. But she goes back to Poland to check on Miłosz and the witches because she has decided that she wants to learn Polish as a new language so she can create another headspace. So she can do more awesome druidic magic. While there, Melina Sokołowska, the leader of the coven, says, hey, what's Atticus doing about all these fucking vampires? Granuaile's like, I don't know, I've been on my own adventures. And she said, well, some shit's about to go down in Rome, you might want to check that out. So Granuaile goes to Rome. And I'm going to pause the story right there, because all roads lead to Rome in this book. So, on to Owen's story. Owen's story starts with him living with Greta in Tempe and hanging out with the Tempe pack because the man that put Tank in Cantankerous really gets along with werewolves. Not a surprise, but it is hilarious. But he's sick of city life. He can't handle it. He's a druid. He's bound to Gaia. So he says to Greta, I need to be close to trees. And Greta says, okay, how about we move up to Flagstaff? I'll transfer myself to the Flagstaff pack. And I think my mic's fucking up a little bit. I apologize. I'll transfer myself to the Flagstaff pack. And we'll move up there. So they do. Upon moving into their new home with huge amounts of rural property and acreage, Sam and Ty, the leaders of the Flagstaff Pack, along with Hal,